Hi, this is Raven Burns. Thank you for visiting my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about revenge spells. But before I get into that, I just wanted to say what a wonderful time I had on Lunasa on August 1st. It was actually my first time formally celebrating it. And it was really great. I had some wonderful bread and cheese and wine and other things, and I posted the pictures on Instagram if you want to check it out. I'll leave the link below. But I started reading a book on spellcraft this week, and it was really great because it was different from many other spell books out there. It was talking about the inner conditions that need to be there before you even start. And that's something that's unusual. Usually they get down to the basics on, the equipment that you need and, the kind of space you need to create, which is extremely important. But I think what's even more important is our inner conditions before we even start. Spells are not even always necessary. Witchcraft is technically just using your change in consciousness to create change in the physical world. So you can do that and you don't have to call it witchcraft. In a sense, the law of attraction is witchcraft because you're using your changed inner state to reflect change in your actual physical life. So it starts from within and then it reveals itself on the outside. So, and that's a principle really in every spiritual discipline. So whether you call it witchcraft or call it nothing, it's the same principle, starting within. So one of the types of spells that people usually want when they're hunting for a spell is a revenge spell. So obviously things happen to rub us the wrong way. We don't click with everyone, unfortunately, and everyone doesn't always click with us. There are people out there that are just toxic, and that's a reality. There may be several reasons why they've become that way, but the fact remains is that they do a lot of damage and they hurt a lot of people. So when you come up against someone like this, it can be very tempting to, and especially if they've gotten the better of you in some kind of way or hurt you in some kind of tangible way, it can be very tempting to fire off a revenge spell. And this has actually never been tempting for me, just because before I embarked on the pagan path, I had a lot of experience in various religions and spiritualities, so I had a background before I came into this. So vengeance is mine, saith the Lord, is a standard quote from the Bible, and so revenge is not really tempting, but I understand the impetus to want to do that, especially when you tap into the power of energy and mental energy and you see that it really can make changes. It's very tempting to kind of make things the way you want to make them. But there's several reasons, of course, why revenge spells are not recommended. And of course you can do what you want to do. I mean, the Wiccan Rede is, and it harm none, do as you will. So you are harming people, obviously, with a revenge spell, regardless of what your excuse is. But at the end of the day, you have to make the choice of how you want to live your life. But these are the reasons why it's unwise, okay? First of all, revenge spells, as I just mentioned, are magically unethical. We are supposed to be living our lives in such a way that we have absolute and full trust in the goddess or whatever you believe in, the god or your religion or whoever your avatar is. We are to walk in the world with such faith that we don't feel the need to take revenge on people. And we also are fully aware that humans are flawed and we are flawed. So just as we make mistakes and we may have harmed people either intentionally or unintentionally, other people will do this to us. So if we spend all of our time doing spells against each other, not only are we going to be wasting time, but the second reason is we are actually going to be attracting all the negative energy that we're trying to fight against. Whenever we stir up energy for a spell or if you don't believe in that, if you're just setting goals, the positive energy that's created when you set an intention works in the opposite way as well. So when you're plotting revenge, that is a low vibrational thought pattern. And so you will attract dark energy, negativity to yourself and to your own life. So if you get down there in the dirt to get it on someone else, it'll get on you as well. So you have to accept that as a consequence. If you're going to go ahead and do a revenge spell, just know that you're also unleashing negative energy into your own life. And the third reason why it's unwise to do revenge spell is because there is a spiritual principle that says we become that which we focus on with emotional intensity. So whatever it is that you focus on, you take on the qualities of that thing, especially when it's fueled with emotion. So for example, couples that have spent their entire lives loving each other, they eventually start to kind of look like each other. They take on each other's mannerisms, and it's not a conscious thing. It's something that happens due to the energy of love. And it happens in the reverse. When you hate something with all of your heart and soul, eventually you will come to look and act just like that thing. So I caution people, I know a lot of people have very negative feelings toward our current president, and I do as well. This is not an ideal situation by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't spend a lot of time thinking about him. First of all, he doesn't spend a lot of time thinking about me, so I don't spend a lot of time thinking about him. But also, if I were to focus on all of that negativity, all of that evil, all of that, incredible ego-based decision-making, words and actions, eventually it would show up in my own consciousness and by side effect in my own life. And that's something that I just could not tolerate. I do not want to be like that man or anyone else who's toxic. So I do not, I don't want to catch fleas, so I don't lie down with dogs. Let's put it that way. But I had some ideas for better revenge. So if we think of witchcraft, and again, if you don't like that term, if you think of setting intention as using your changed consciousness to affect a change in the world, then you don't actually even need a revenge spell. If you want revenge, quote unquote, against somebody that's harmful or toxic, there's a much better way. So first way I can think of is prayer. When you pray for somebody that is toxic, nasty, who's done terrible things to you, this is actually, I know you think, oh, I don't want that person to be blessed, that person's horrible. But the thing is, if that person is truly toxic, praying for them does not do what you think it's going to do. If somebody is toxic and they've chosen to be like that and they've chosen to remain that way, when you pray for them, it actually unleashes more negative energy into their life, because people can sense on an energetic level when something positive is coming their way. And if they've decided to live their life in a toxic and negative fashion, praying for them actually unleashes negativity into their life. And it's not because this is not the goal, okay, is to unleash negativity in their life. It's just a side effect of someone choosing to turn away from the light and embrace the dark. So if someone is behaving in a toxic way, prayer for them works in the opposite way. And now if they were to turn away from their toxic behavior and embrace the light, obviously the prayer can be amplified and work in a positive way. But there's a line in the Bible that says, praying for your enemy is like dumping hot coals on their head. And that is the principle. So the first thing you should do when somebody is giving you a hard time is to start praying for them. It'll do one of two things. Either if they're open to change in their lives, it will influence them to move in a positive direction. It'll move them into embracing light energy and to leaving you alone. And if that doesn't happen, because it's their choice, we have free will. If they choose to continue being toxic and embracing the darkness, it will only unleash more negativity into their own lives. So it's a win-win. Okay. Another thing you can do for revenge against somebody who's harmed you is to 100% focus on your own life. The pain that comes up when someone tries to hurt you on purpose should be the emotional energy you use to push you into a positive direction. So rather than letting it stop you or get you down, it should actually fuel you into making an even more ardent intention to be the light that you are. So you can always change anger and transform it into something usable. So instead of using it to be depressed and to be defensive and to fight against them, you can use that to push you into your own goals, to get excited, to make new goals, to meet new people. Not everybody out there is toxic. There are people out there that are wonderful. And you can use the energy of anger against the toxic people to push you into the arms of the great people and just go from glory to glory, higher and higher and higher and higher. That can be your life. Okay. And the third thing that comes from, if you do the first two things, if you pray for the people that harmed you, and if you use the anger that you feel to push your own goals forward, the third thing that will happen is a basic acceptance. Okay. And the good thing about the acceptance is that it will lead to apathy. Okay. Because when you're hating the person that hates you, you don't really hate them. You know, hatred is not actually the opposite of love. Apathy is the opposite of love. When you don't care one way or the other about somebody, then you're free. Okay, so as long as you hate them, you are their bitch. Sorry. Because you're still subject to their whims and their emotions and their ploys and their schemes and all this stuff. When you become apathetic, which comes after you've truly and totally accepted the person and the situation for what it is, then you're free. Okay, and that's something that you can totally experience. So that's it. That's my thoughts on revenge spells. Let me know what you think. If you've done a revenge spell and it's worked out for you, or it's not worked out for you, or if you've used the spiritual disciplines that I've talked about in order to get revenge on somebody, then let me know. I'd love to hear your story. So in parting, you matter. You're beloved of God. You make a difference on this planet, and you're necessary. Peace and love.